Namaste and hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel Hamsa-Vahini Vajra-asthra. I'm Awhona. In today's video, I'm going to share my wrap-up for Space Opera September 2021. Now, Space Opera September was a month-long readathon which was conducted during the entirety of September, and it was hosted by Thomas from SFF180 along with his crew, and I will post a link to his announcement video in the description box below, as well as link it in the card over here for you to cross-check. Now, there were two tracks for Space Opera September, which was the Federation track and the Rebel track. So I had chosen the Rebel track, and although I did try to go for season 1 and season 2, but mid-month there was some unexpected development, because of which I had to focus on season 1. And although I did coordinate with Thomas about this, but I did zero in on season 1. So my wrap up would be for season 1. So do please join me further in this video. So now let's get down to the books that I had been reading for season 1. Now the first book which I read was Fugitive Telemetry by Martha Wells, and the prompt which I read it for was the first prompt which qualifies for Space Cadet, and that was to read a space opera novella which has been written by a woman author. So I did find a component of space travel which was mentioned in the plot indirectly, so I did include this for the first prompt. Now the premise of this book is a continuation of the Murderbot series, which is an advanced SEC unit which has been developed for very specific missions, and this has an intelligence of its own. So this was the first time that I had been reading from the Murderbot series. I had never read a book from this particular series, so I did end up listening to, on an audiobook of course, a bit of the first book, which was Martha Wells' Old Sister Red, from where it all started, and everything just clicked into place. In fact, after the first 3 pages were a bit confusing when I did start off, but after that it started falling all into place, and I absolutely enjoyed it. And there is a SEC unit, of course, which is an advanced bot, which is called the Murderbot, and they are hired. This SEC unit is hired for a particular, under a contract, and it ends up trying to solve a murder mystery or a murder case, and tracks down who the original murderer is. So it's his plot to try and engage with human beings, although he doesn't like to, and also augmented human beings and the various bots as well as the robots which have been created in this particular world. The world building was excellent and I absolutely loved it, and I plan to read the entire Murderbot series by Martha Wells. So that was the first book which I read. So the next book which I read was for the prompt, which was to read a space opera book which features, or which has been written by a diverse author. So for this I did choose to read To Be Taught Fortunate by Becky Chambers. Now I do understand that this is more of a novella than a book, but there was no specification, so I did pick up this particular book. And although I had chosen initially to read another book for a diverse author, but then I did try to shift that out because it was also part of season 2 and I had to zero in on season 1. So this was one of the first books which I read for Space Opera September, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now in this particular book, there are 4 astronauts who have to travel light years away to find a planet, or to find various planets which have conditions which could be made habitable for human existence, which they do, and they have very intelligent spaceships which would use the technology called thermoforming, in which their physiology is changed as per the terrestrial planet they are investigating. So they do find planets wherein they find life and alien activity. There are also gravitational drives, etc., and they try to study all of it, and there are conditions in which they could not enter the terrestrial planes at all. So there's a lot which was there in their journey, and it is the underlying humanity which keeps them all together despite the odds which they experience in their journey. And when they return to Earth, or by the time they return to Earth, they are decades, which is of course decades later, they do find that there is barely any communication from Earth because Earth is devastated by war. So it's a quest for survival and the choices that they make. So this was very interesting. I really loved it, and I have planned to read other books by Becky Chambers as well. So that was for prompt number 2. Now for prompt number 2 would qualify for space privateer. The third prompt was to read a book which had been published before your year of birth. So for this, I did choose to read Isaac Asimov's Foundation. Now, I understand that there is an Apple TV series which is going on based on the Foundation trilogy. So I did really enjoy this, and I was supposed to finish this book last year, but unfortunately that never happened. So I did pick this book up this year, and I really enjoyed it. Now this book, the plot of this particular story involves an entire galactic empire which has habitable planets, and there is a mathematician who is employed by another planet which is the main empire, and there is Harry Seldon, who is I believe he's a psychohistorian, and yes, he's a psychohistorian, because that's the exact term. So he uses mathematics to predict the future of the galactic empire, and he also predicts that there will be a major apocalypse and the entire empire is going to crash down. So there should be a database wherein the survivors could start building up their new civilization once the crash happens. So he goes on to the emperor and he requests that he needs a specific place, and he should be allowed to have access to various sort of materials for getting an entire galactic encyclopedia, as they would call it, in place, which would encompass the entire history of all the surviving galactic habitable civilizations, etc. So they are, as they call it, exiled to a planet called Terminus, and it is there that they start doing their work. Then the story starts jumping in timelines, and every time there's a jump and every time there is a sudden change which happens, there's always Harry Sheldon's prediction which comes up and a solution which is there. So that is what this entire story is all about. It's very interesting, and I plan to read the entire series. So that was for the third prompt, which was for qualifying for Rebel Leader. Now, so for the last prompt, which was to read a tome, which was a space opera book, which was over 500 pages, which would qualify for Space Pirate, I did read Adrian Tchaikovsky's Shards of Earth, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I did read it as well as I listened to it on audiobook as well. Now this book is all about a species called architects. Now the architects are a being which are moon-sized, and they love experimenting with gravitational forces. They influence the gravitational field and convert a plain landscape into a whirl which looks like a flower or a blooming flower, and this is a signature of the architects. Now why exactly they are doing this everywhere they go is a mystery, and there are a species of beings called the originators who are preceding them, and somehow wherever the originators are, the architects are not found. So that's a mystery, and also which of course is revealed later on. And the entire story has hybrid humans, which are genetically engineered women warriors who are specialized for protective combats, as well as not only protective combats but for war zones. There are augmented humans, and there are humans augmented, I wouldn't say augmented, but they are special humans who have been created in a different way, and these are called interns, and they are apparently psychic, and they can do a lot of things just through the mind, and they are made battle ready. And there are also aliens, as well as there's an entire group of alien forces which is called the hegemony. There are different planets, and there are humans, and there are human colonies. There are those who are settled in respective planets with specific occupations, and there are also spacers who do space travel, and they are for hire, for contractual base, on contract of course, and they do specific tasks according to the contracts and get paid for it. So our story revolves around one such spacer group, and this spacer group has an intern who is specialized, and he's one of the first interns, and usually interns in this plot are those who are let's say they are hired and they are owned by humans. However, this particular intern is one of the first interns who managed to stay sane, and was a success, and is independent, and cannot be owned by anyone. He's an independent individual in himself, so everyone is after him and everyone wants to possess him. But then he is extremely talented, and there is a concept called unspace, in which the entire spaceship which is traveling is actually suspended in almost a suspended state, and this particular intern can use his special abilities to trace or track down what exactly is pending or has to be searched. So they go from planet to planet on a contractual basis, and on every planet they go, there is always some or the other commotion. So the world building of every planet was excellent. I also enjoyed the action in most of the cases, because if you really use visuals for the actions in an action movie, it would really turn out very exciting. But when we are reading it, it was a bit monotonous in some areas, because we could expect by the second or the third planet that yes, there will be a sort of an action, and so there's a lot which is given. I really enjoyed the story, and it's almost a 5-star read for me, and I would really try to go for more of Adrian Tchaikovsky's writing, because I have made a collection of his books. So yes, I will be exploring them by the end of this year, or maybe starting next year. So those are the 4 books that I did read, and most of the reads were 5-star or 4.5 stars for me, and I have not updated all of them on Goodreads, only a few, but I really enjoyed Space Opera September Season 1. Now for Season 2, which was to go for a solo challenge, I was attempting to, but then I just tried to focus on Season 1, because there was a lot of complication which happened in between. So I had been reading Arkady Martine's A Memory Called Empire, along with A Desolation Called Peace, which are part 1 and part 2, which are based on very similar lines of Asimov's Foundation trilogy, and I really am enjoying it. I have not completed it so far, because I just left it in between mid-month, after I decided that no, I will only focus on Season 1. So but I really enjoyed it, and I will probably be finishing it off by the end of November, both the books. So that's all I have for you for today, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, do please click the like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates. So till then, take care, have a good reading week ahead, and namaste.